let's segue straight into Sam Bankman-Fried. If you don't know, if you're not in this space, he's basically a Bernie Madoff. He ran something like a pyramid scheme. Most people think he ran a fraudulent operation where I don't want to get into weeds of it, but he took people's money and he used that money inappropriately. He used it in ways that you should not be using money, and unbeknownst to the depositors, which is fraud. You, you're not supposed to be gambling their money. It's fraud, and he lost it, and both of his companies went bankrupt, Alameda and FTX. That's just a short version of it. But the new news that we want to talk about is he didn't do an interview with Vox, but he did a text exchange with someone who works at Vox. I guess this is the new, this is 2022. This is the new interview, right? People don't sit down with you. You'll just have an exchange on WhatsApp or Messenger. And in this interview, he revealed something. The main thing he revealed is that it's all fake. It's all, do you want to quote the thing he said about woke politics being just a scam?
Yeah. He said, it's what reputations are made of to some extent. I feel bad for those who get fucked by it. By this dumb game we woke Westerners play, where we all say the right shabolas, and so everyone likes us.
Right. So he's admitting that all the bullshit about effective altruism, all the money he puts towards, I'm a vegetarian. Well, maybe he's a vegetarian, but all of that BS is just another tool a lot of people use to acquire more wealth, to acquire more power over the rest of us. It's just a different tool. And it's an effective tool because so many of the rest of us will interpret these actions and interpret these people as altruists, as good people. This is what ESG scores are. I strongly believe that. I know you think that maybe it's not. Maybe you think there's true believers behind ESG, but I strongly believe that ESG scores, from BlackRock and S&P 500, ESG scores that they put on companies, which, by the way, FTX had a very high ESG score, higher than Tesla.
Yeah. I mean, that might be because I wouldn't read too much into that. It could just be because, FTX is a software company, basically.
I don't know. But the point is, ESG scores are just another tool to make you believe that these really super rich corporations and super rich people, they're good people. They're on your side. Look, they're talking about the global warming. They're talking about climate change. They're talking about equity, diversity, and inclusion. How could they not be good people? And you lap it up. You idiots lap it up. It's so funny to me. You just take it. You tilt your head back and you just have it poured down your throat and you take it. You're stupid. It's just embarrassing. And here's here he is saying it out loud. It's just a thing they do.
Yeah. Well, what I find interesting is this need to have an excuse to make money.
They need that excuse because in this environment, you want to be the good guy. That helps you make more money. Right? It helps you make more money. It helps you exert more power.
It's just so weird. Yeah, I mean, you can't just say you want to make money because you you like money.
No, that's true because
you have to say, oh, it's because,
that's true.
Yeah.
Because Twitter is a thing, because social media is a thing, because, being a good actor in the eyes of the public, that matters. And that helps you exert more control.
Yeah.
Right?
I just find it very dishonest.
It is. And then what you do, and what these rich people do.
Okay.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If they were actually just rich people who really believed in diversity and all this stuff, I would have a better view of it. I would say, well, that's your worldview and you made money, so you're using your money to push your worldview. Okay, fine. But here's the thing. They're not. They're lying to you. They just want... This goes back to... I don't want to...
They're lying, and the thing is, they're insulated from all the consequences too. Like, it's only the
It goes
the
back...
little
Yeah,
guy
it goes back
on the
to
ground.
a theory that a lot of people... This is not my theory, but I find a lot of truth in it. Before Occupy Wall Street and 2009 and all of that, everybody on the left, like if you're a populist, you're probably on the left. And then suddenly, in the great financial crisis, a lot of people on the right became populist too. They said, wait, these corporations are not looking out for our best interests. And well, nobody really thought they were, but at least we thought they were under control, or they wouldn't screw us over this badly, or when they did screw up, they wouldn't be bailed out by the governments. But all of that bubble was burst in the great financial crisis. And a lot of people saw it for what it really was, and they were upset by it. And what could the rich people do? What could the corporations do? How could they convince this dangerous populist movement? How could they convince most people that they were the good guys? Don't pay attention to these guys who got billion-dollar parachutes, who were too big to fail. Don't look at them. Don't direct your ire towards them. Direct it towards your neighbor, who's racist, by the way, because he doesn't accept the LGBT whatever, but we do. See, you see all these flags that we put up, these pride flags we put up, right? You see that our company we're enlightened, we're good guys, right? You know who's the bad guy? Your neighbor who makes $50,000 a year, but he doesn't like LGBT. He's probably a bigot. Go be angry at him. Don't look over here, look over there. I strongly believe that's what happened. And they succeeded. Who's the enemy now? The enemy is not these rich people controlling your lives. The enemy is your neighbor who, doesn't want to use a pronoun. He's the problem with the world. It's not the banks that were too big to fail and did irresponsible things and cost people their life savings. That they're not. No. They're not the problem because hey, pride flag again. Pride flag. Hey, BLM. We support Black Lives Matter. Don't look at us. We're clearly good guys, right? Who's the problem? Your neighbor who makes $50,000 a year, who doesn't want to use somebody's pronouns.
I mean, okay, it certainly played out that way, but do you really think that was,
I do think that was the actual intent. Yes, I think that was a plan. You play people off against each other and create schisms, and that draws attention away from you. Yeah. It's just like,
I mean, it's true. If people were united,
if people were united, these corporations would be fucked
really quickly. Yeah,
yes.
Things could change really quickly.
They successfully. It's just like a schoolyard situation. When you didn't want one of the kids to be angry at you, you just talk about some other kid who talked shit about him, right? And now they're fighting.
Is this part of some classic playbook? Like some
I think it's part of a classic playbook. I don't know. It's part of a classic communist playbook, but I think it's part of a playbook. Yeah, but what's great about SBF's impromptu chat is that he's sort of revealing that it's all an act they put on for you to pull the wool over your eyes, to make you think that a bunch of these corporations are the good guys. They're looking out for you, right? They have pride flags. They make BLM contributions, so they must be the good guys. They must be.
They recycle.
Yeah, they have a diversity and equity and inclusion officer, right? Before meetings happen, they tell you what color shirt they're wearing. So they must be diverse and inclusive. Don't look at the fact that they're abusing their position to do anti-competitive things. They're making money hand over fist, right? Don't look at your wage stagnation versus their executive pay inflation. Don't look at any of that because they're for all of these diversity things. They're woke. He says it. And everybody bought it up. He was the second biggest donor to the Democratic Party. And I'm not even sure he's a Democrat. Who even knows, right? Who even knows? He probably is, but even insofar as he is, it's still just a self-serving. He's from that class of people, right, that control the world. So, and I'm not talking about Jews. I'm just talking about rich, educated people. It's just self-serving. But will anybody talk about it? Well, some people talk about it if you go on YouTube. But will NBC News talk about it? No. Will the New York Times talk about it? No. They'll write about how he had good intentions and maybe he was just a dumb kid. He's not a dumb kid. He is an intentional actor in a system that is built to oppress you and to fool you. That's why you need to read this Vox article, this conversation that he has. And the other thing that's so obvious is he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit about the people he hurt. You know, I'm not even, this is not sour grapes. I didn't have any money in FTX. I haven't had money in crypto since like, well, I have some that's locked, but I haven't had the vast majority of my money in crypto since the Anchor fell and all of those dominoes, right? So
Yeah.
it's not sour grapes. I didn't lose money in FTX, but it does indicate that he doesn't care about any of you.
What do you make of the fact that Vox actually published this?
I think it's definitely a positive for Vox. They go up in my estimation because they didn't silence it. They could have. I suppose they could have silenced it, right?
Yeah, easily.
They could have, but
this is not flattering to.
But the other thing is, Vox is kind of failing, and this is such a juicy get, right? For one of your reporters to have a private conversation with SBF that reveals so much, it's really definitely they can hang their hat on this article. So it's really hard to silence it because it pushes them farther. It helps Vox so much to get something like this. I know what you're saying because Vox is obviously another leftist arm.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
They still were willing to publish this. And control is not always perfect. It could just be the right editor and the right journalist. They want to do something and it gets through. Just like accidentally, an NBC reporter reported the true and correct facts about what Paul Pelosi did. That got through, did it not? I mean, they fired him or they suspended him after, right? But it got through. It did get through somehow. So the controls are not perfect. It's clear that if they had their druthers, they would have never let that report go through. Just a reminder that Paul Pelosi opened the door and walked back towards his quote-unquote assassin.
Attacker,
assassin, whatever.
Yeah.
He just walked straight back into the house because that's totally what people do when a stranger comes in to kill them, right? And just another reminder that the San Francisco police have not released their body cam footage because there's nothing to hide, clearly.
But it is, I mean, I guess it's comforting that at least it appears that this footage hasn't been, destroyed or made to vanish or something.
Yet. That's true. And there have been journalists who said they've seen it.
Yeah.
So even if they do accidentally destroy it,
the cat's out of the bag.
There are humans out there who can describe what they saw.
Yeah.
And I know that we think that people in power can do a lot of things like suicide Jeffrey Epstein, but it would be probably a bridge too far to accidentally destroy the body cam footage and also for the journalists who saw the body cam footage to mysteriously die the next day. I think that most people would look at that and say it's not a coincidence. So they probably can't go that far. Just one or the other, yes, they could do. But both, people are not that stupid, I hope. Not yet. So anyway, that's my opinion of SBF. He's telling you the quiet part out loud, so please listen. He's telling you that these people who claim to be woke, rich people, they're full of shit. It's just another tool for them to get richer. And if you need any more evidence that he's just interested in getting richer, look at how he mishandled your funds. If he were truly an altruistic person, he would have not stolen people's money and mismanaged it, right? He would have been more honest and he would have just said, my company failed, right? But here's the dark thing. There are some people who are on board with this effective altruism movement. And if you don't know what that is, just look it up. It's horseshit. There are some people on board with that who think that the ends justify the means. They just think that, well, doing anything you can to get rich is still valid if you, at the end of the day, donate your money to worthy causes. Really? It's valid. It's okay to steal, to defraud people, as long as you give your money away at the end of the day. This is a really toxic and evil philosophy. I think most people agree. No, it's not okay to defraud people. Either he is just a person who's out for himself and is just lying about all his woke stuff, lying about the effective altruism, or he does believe in effective altruism, but he believes in it to such an extreme that he's willing to do really evil things to other human beings in the name of this effective altruism, which, if you do bad things to other people, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't even matter what your underlying philosophy is. You're just as bad as a person who does it because they feel like doing it. It makes no difference. The effect is the same. So yeah, he's a sociopath, or just a really good. Yeah, he's a sociopath essentially. I
What
hope he
do you?
goes to jail for a long, long time.
Yeah. What do you think about that meme going around showing all the arrows pointing from the government to Ukraine to FTX back to the government?
That I have less confidence in. Like, I understand he and his girlfriend, and they came from families, they have connections to Gary Gensler at the SEC. I understand all that, but that could be coincidence. I mean, these people, this world is smaller than you think. It doesn't mean they were working together. It doesn't mean Gary Gensler was covering for them. It doesn't prove that. So I'm not on board with those conspiracy theories.
Hmm.
You don't need to be. It's bad enough that he ran this company in a way that was just like a sociopath would run it. So there doesn't need to be a connection to Gary Gensler. Although I do think he should recuse himself when it comes to dealing with this. He probably should have before, but there was nothing actionable against FTX, right? All the most that happened was Sam Bankman-Fried. He testified uh, on Capitol Hill about certain things. There was no trial. There was no action against him, right? Was
Well,
there?
the meme, I don't know, but the meme is more. It's more about just what do you call it? Like, I mean, it's like money laundering, kind of, is what that meme is about, right? It's not. I
Right,
don't think
right.
it's not so much about Gary Gensler as it just is showing that there's this potential loop or funnel going on that is sort of funneling money
Oh, right,
into Democrats, right? It's like,
right,
taxpayer
right, right.
money going to Ukraine, and then Ukraine feeding money into FTX, and then FTX feeding money back into the Democratic Party.
I agree. Yeah, and in the end, that is what happened. Correct.
I
But
guess, yeah, I haven't.
I don't think this loop is necessary. I think that these companies, they have more than enough money just to give them a shit ton of money.
Mhm.
The loop from the taxpayers is not necessary. No. Um, but regulators and mainstream media covering for people like SBF and propping these people up and um, co-signing on this concept of, well, the corporations are now your friends, guys,
The thing
because
about
because
yeah,
they're woke. They have they look at their ESG score. The corporations are now your friends. All that co-signing is enough to create enough wealth that can then be funneled to parties and people that perpetuate this whole thing. They don't even need taxpayer money, is what I'm trying to tell you. Just the control of the media and the narrative is enough to insulate their wealth. They create so much wealth already. The money is there. They don't need government funds. They just need this cover. They just need this narrative to be spun that they're the good guys and these corporations are woke. They just need that. They don't need actual funds. Uh, but that's bad enough. That's still a problem that we have people in government, we have people in media that are co-signing this, creating a narrative, that are colluding essentially to create this whole system. That's bad enough. They don't have to be funneling any taxpayer dollars.
I think the FTX thing is actually pretty scary in the sense that, I could have easily lost money with FTX, and I guess the only reason why I didn't is just because crypto sort of took a shit months beforehand. But, back a couple of years ago, I was, trying to get my money into FTX, right? Because they were one of the
Hmm.
few exchanges that actually had Cell token.
Hmm.
Um, but luckily, I was actually prevented from doing so because, U.S. citizens are not allowed to use FTX. Well, we can use FTX.US, but it has a much smaller selection of tokens.
So End of the day, he's guilty of all these things. I hope he goes to prison. Madoff got 150 years, and I will settle for no less for SBF. I want him to get
Also,
150 years.
yeah. Also, people should watch this Tucker video. I think that was
Yes.
the Tucker
It tells you
video.
everything you need to know, essentially.
Yeah, there's stuff there. He mentions a guy, Mark Cohodes. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, who actually saw this coming last October. So I think that's pretty remarkable.
Well, now that
Also,
it's happened, I'm seeing all sorts of YouTube suggested to me where there would be these people saying, "Oh, FTX is a scam. It's gonna."
oh,
Oh
really?
God, yeah. Months ago, people were saying it, and like, oh,
that's
too bad I
interesting.
didn't see it. Well, I didn't lose money, so
Right.
it's not too bad necessarily. But
Also, I gotta just call this out. There was apparently a line item on the balance sheet of FTX called Trump lose, right?
yeah, of course. At least,
That's
at least they were honest about it.
yeah, I guess.
And here's the most offensive thing about FTX and this whole situation: how ugly Sam's girlfriend was, the one he put in charge of Alameda. Is that not offensive to you? Like
I I feel like
you did all these crimes and you didn't even lead the good life. You were having sex with this ugly woman.
you've sent me worse photos on
I know,
WhatsApp.
but billionaires were not having sex with those women,
That's true.
right?
That's true. Billionaire no more.
Was this worth it? God, that's terrible. I blame nerd culture.
Apparently, he had a nice penthouse in the Bahamas, though.
Yeah, but he was having sex with ugly women like this, and they all live
True.
together.
True.
They all live
Uh,
together. And so you might say, well, he was having all these hot women over too. If they all live together, I don't know. And it said they were having. I don't want to get into it. They're having orgies or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to
gross.
put that in my mind. It's terrible. Why even get rich if this is all you're going to do with your money? At least you have to give credit for this. Elon Musk had sex with attractive women. Is that not of right? Is that not worthy of a billionaire? This is unfortunate.
Yeah.